I'm Brad from LFO.
Devin from LFO.
Alright, you guys are currently on your reunion tour. What sparked the idea to start back up?
I think the idea came from the last 7 years I've been running an indie label and working really hard to try and build a name for the band. Lots of bands. And you come to realize just how difficult it is to establish a name for a band. I got to thinking one day that I've got a band with a name that's just sitting there doing nothing. I thought it would be a waste to let that go. So, it's been 7 years. We'd all been through a lot, some extraordinary highs and very deep lows. Grew a lot as men and as artists, and decided one day, let's have a meeting. And sat together in a room in about 5 years. I flew out to Massachusetts and met with these guys, and we sat down and talked about the concept of getting back together and doing a tour and recording some music. And that's pretty much what sparked it.
Awesome. How was the tour? I mean, you guys are about halfway through it. How is everything going so far?
It's going smoothly, it's going nice.
Okay.
It's good to find out there's still a lot to learn about music, about touring too. And fans, let's say it's 150 to 200 a night, they're singing every word. We don't have to sing if we don't want to, but so that's a great sign right there.
Good. Have you guys had a show that stood out to you guys the most on this tour?
I'd say the Boston show. It was the place where there was the most people. There was a lot of friends and family there who, for me personally, I wasn't quite sure how they would all react to this sort of reunion. Pretty decent amount of press people as well. And
to rub it in, his hat got stolen.
Yeah, one of Devin's friends liked my hat and apparently thought that I'd given it to him, which I had not.
So that show had a lot of those little weird things as well. That happened, and this happened, so it was very memorable.
Yeah. You guys just announced that you're going to do a Midwest and a West Coast tour. You guys looking forward to that? And I know the fans are very, very anxious for you guys to be on that side of the country. So.
Yeah, we get a lot of messages from people. When you come in here, when you come in there, and we weren't able to decide whether we were going to do it or not until we came back out here to see if we were still viable. And we're doing things from the bottom. We don't have any major drivers behind us. There's no major radio or TV or major press. This is just LFO's coming back and sort of word of mouth, grassroots effort to build this project up more. So just by those efforts, we're having a decent showing every night. It's not tremendous. Well, it's tremendous in the way that people are there, but as far as quantity of people, it's not huge, but the quality is tremendous.
Quality is very tremendous.
People are there and love it, they sing every word, they want to be there, and it just kind of shows us, well, if more people knew, more people would be there. So if we spend the next several months trying to increase that presence, and by the time we come hit the Midwest after Thanksgiving, we should be in good shape. By Midwest, a lot of people don't understand what I mean by Midwest. I essentially just mean the middle of the country. Take a line from the far northwest corner of South Dakota and a line from Detroit, and draw them down the country, and everything in between is where we're going to tour on the next run. We'll go out for another 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And shortly after the first of the year, we'll do the same thing on everything to the west of that line in South Dakota. And if all goes well,
come back to the East Coast again.
Okay.
Exactly.
Do you guys have a favorite song to perform?
I enjoy West Side Story.
Yeah, West Side Story was always a favorite. Baby Be Mine was as well. I think on this tour, I would say Every Other Time has been one of my favorites to perform. There's a lot of energy. People love the song.
Yeah.
As soon as Tony gets that riff, people are like, yeah.
Who are your guys' influences?
Early on, it was a lot of the soul bands, Stevie Wonder. Then as I advanced through my years, everything became an influence. Talking Y'all Right Here is an influence. To Write About You, Let You Know, and stuff. Basically, every style of music I enjoy. To put a limit on is definitely limiting your palette, limiting your colors. So.
Devin and I are in a place now in our lives where we are influenced by everything. We were at Dunkin' Donuts today and we wrote a song. And it was just we're very appreciative of everything we see. And we're very aware of everything we see and what everybody's doing. And we're appreciative of you being here, whether you have a little website or you're from the New York Times. It's the same to us. You're spending time to come here and interview us. You're going to go home and edit this. You're going to post it. You're going to write about it. It takes time for you to do that.
Time and energy as well.
The fact that you're doing that is an influence in itself. You know what I mean? It's a motivation for us. Musically, like Devin said, it runs the gamut. I think one of my first influences is still a strong influence today is Tom Petty. It's something I love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in high school I was into hip hop, and that's evident in my music as well. It's Public Enemy, and bands like that. And these days I don't really buy a whole lot of new music, but I like stuff that's a little more esoteric, like Granddaddy. So it runs the gamut.
What's the difference for you guys right now with LFO versus LFO in 1999?
Probably couldn't be any more different. Similarities are music and a certain energy, but we've evolved so much as people, as men. We're closer as a group than we ever were. We do more things together than we ever had. We have more fun on stage now, I think, than we ever had. And we can appreciate everything a little bit more because there's no record company behind us making sure we're on MTV and on the biggest radio stations. It's like here in Philadelphia, there's a big station here called IOQ, Q102, which has been supportive of us in the past, but it's been 7 years. So I'm there like emailing, calling, begging them to do something to help promote the show. And luckily they did a little something. It was great. So every little thing is so much more important now. Nothing was trivial then. We appreciate everything, but there was so much going on. It was hard to really sit down and appreciate everything that was going on. And back then, you might not have had an interview with us back then, because we might have been doing some of the bigger things in town. But these days, whether it's like this morning, we were on TV at CBS TV. It's pretty big, and we're sitting with you right now. It's all the same to us. You know what I mean?
Right. You guys have been together for a while. How did you guys start, for people that aren't familiar with who you are?
We started in our bedrooms first, loving music, right? That's the first thing. Going to shows, see what it's all about, seeing the culture, see how people react to music. And then by loving music more and more, life brought us together in Orlando. And then from there, here we are, and you can fill in the gaps in between them, but essentially that's
Yeah, Rich and I first got together down in Orlando. I was working on similar styles of music with somebody he wanted to work with. He flew down or drove down to meet this guy. When he knocked on the door, I answered the door. That's literally how we came together. And then as we were together for a little while, a mutual friend of ours is managing Devin, and he fit the missing piece of the puzzle. So,
except for my eyebrows back then, right?
Well, he had horrible eyebrows back then. They were overly plucked.
I was a plucker back then.
Awesome.